Yes, you guys, in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I see Frank Lampard utilising Edison Cavani in the team. I'm going to focus on 4 different formations I feel that Lampard could utilise Cavani in. But before I get into that, I want to quickly talk about the latest news that has come out today in regards to the deal. Now, we focus on the latest reports. We start with the Evening Standard, and they're suggesting that our move for Cavani is being held up by the striker's wage demands. You might be thinking, how much is Edison looking for? Brace yourself, you guys. Anyway, as the article does state, the Blues are exploring the possibility of obviously signing Cavani in this window. Paris Saint-Germain do want 20 million euros, so that's about 15 million to sign the player now before his contract expires at the end of the season. It's really expensive, of course. I mean, his contract ends in less than 6 months, but what can you do? Now, a potential stumbling block may come down to Edison Cavani and his reluctance to really get less wages than what he's currently on. And currently he's on 360k per week, and he's told clubs that are interested in him that he's only going to sign if he's offered an 18-month contract. So as the Standard calculates, that works out to be approximately 19 million per season. Added to a hefty signing on fee, the total outlay could easily surpass 50 million for a player who turns 33 years old next month. We move on to Goal.com's report, and they stated that when Makelele actually went to Paris to talk about Paris Saint-Germain's young 17-year-old midfielder, he also spoke about a maiden inquiry about Edison Cavani. Now, one piece of information that we all know is that Cavani really wants Atletico Madrid. He was close to signing for them in the summer. Now he's trying to force that move to them, but the only potential hold-up is that Atletico Madrid need to release players in this window to free up money for their wage bill. And they need to release 3 players: Thomas Lemar, Santiago Arias, and Vizalco. So that's 3 players, and there's only about 10 days left until the window closes. Are they going to be able to release all 3 players in time to free up the wage bill for Cavani? I don't think so, and I really think that if Cavani wants consistent first team football, he's going to have to take an L with his wages. He has to get reduced wages because getting game time surely is the most important thing. At this point in time, you guys, our wage bill is looking quite good. We could afford to sign Cavani if we had to, and even though Atletico Madrid are currently the favourites, we have Marina, we have money, we have London, we have all these possible things that we could offer Cavani. And because of that, I feel like we have to keep the hope and let's see what happens. But anyway, you guys, we move on to the main part for today's video. And I want to talk about the formations and the lineups in which I could see Lampard using Cavani in this current team. And let's get straight into the first one. And it brings back a formation that we actually haven't seen since pre-season, and that's the Diamond 4-1-2-1-2. Now, the reason why Lampard hasn't really persisted with using this diamond midfield is because the strikers he has don't really complement each other. With Olivier Giroud, he plays more of a target man, and his game isn't really to make runs in behind. With Michy Batshuayi, he prefers to play up front by himself because he's extremely selfish, and really the only forward we have is Tammy Abraham. Now, if we do sign Edison Cavani, I can imagine that Lampard would not be able to resist not using Cavani and Tammy Abraham up front together. Lampard is a guy that only uses formations if he has the required personnel available to him at that time. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a reputation as a tinkerer. Of course, he can probably thank Ranieri for that. You can see that Ranieri taught him well. And if we can sign Cavani, you guys, imagine how Tammy and Cavani would play up front together. I think the movement would be too much for most defenses to handle. And also, let's think about the other implications of using a diamond midfield. Loftus-Cheek is now starting to get on that road to recovery, and it's looking like he could be back in the next month or 2, so fingers crossed that happens. And when he does return, there is going to be some big changes in the first team. Now, I feel like our best games have come this season when we have a very strong midfield and we really pack the midfield. And if we were to use a diamond midfield with Tammy, Cavani up front, number 10 Mason Mount, Ruben as our number 8, and alongside him you've got N'Golo Kante, and in the pivot it's either Jorginho, who I think would be in the first team over Cover if Ruben's back in the team, or obviously Cover. Now, I can imagine that quite a lot of you, man, are getting very excited at this possibility. Take it easy, yeah? But anyway, Cavani, Tammy Abraham, Tamvani, bruv. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, Nini, what about the width? Well, with Reece and Emerson, well, let's hope that Emerson gets back to his pre-injury levels. they'd be the guys providing that width we need. Now, we've seen that both players are quite capable of playing isolated out wide by themselves, especially Reece James, and for God's sake, can you imagine the distribution and the crossing from the right hand side when Reece knows that he has Tammy and Cavani attacking inside the box with Mason Mount behind? Oh my God. And Ruben coming in late as well. Honestly, I think that if we get the deal done for Cavani, I would not be surprised to see us using a 4-1-2-1-2. Now we move on to the second formation, and that's the 3-5-2. Now, with how we have so many great defenders at the club right now, as I mentioned before, I feel like we're a bit stronger and we have more midfield players in the first team. And with the 3-5-2 formation, well, we have that in abundance. Again, Tammy and Cavani linking up together, making runs and behinds, coming short, holding the ball up, playing off each other, playing unselfishly. That's what both strikers can do very well. And Lampard may feel that using a system without wingers could be the best thing to do in that pursuit for goals. Now, with our young wingers, they have extreme talent, but it's going to take them a few more seasons to really maximize their game and become the very best they can be. But you guys, we have short-term targets that we need for this season, and that target is to secure top 4 football so we get that Champions League spot at the end of the season. Now, with guys like Callum and Pulisic, can we consistently rely upon them to be getting the goals we need? I don't think so. Lampard may feel the same way. He may feel like maybe it's best to let these guys use this first season as an educational season where they can understand the league, find their footing, and really take off when pre-season comes again and when the next season follows up. That could be the best course of action. And to really help us get to that future, well, we need the goals from Edison Cavani. And Lampard may feel that with Cavani and Tammy, as well as having solidity in a strong midfield and a compact back three, this could be the best formation to help us perform equally defensively off the ball and also provide that goal threat further up. And all I'm saying is, as my final point for why I'm vouching so much for Cavani and Tammy Abraham, it makes me think about times when I saw Didier Drogba. Now, Drogba didn't really start to come to life until Crespo was on the team and Mourinho played both of them together. When that happened, you guys, that was when the real Didier Drogba really came out, because at that time, before Mourinho made that tactical decision, Drogba was getting constantly marked by 2 defenders every single time. And when you play like that, it limits the freedom of your movement. When he has a strike partner alongside him, expect even more creative movement off the ball. Good Lord, you guys. And on that point, we do move on to the third formation, and that's continuing to use the 4-3-3. Only this time there would be a bit of a twist, because Cavani would be down that left-hand side with Tammy up front, Willian down the right-hand side. Midfielder, you guys can see it on screen for yourselves. Now, Cavani has played this role quite a few times, and of course, you might look at this formation, you might think, Nini, it's such a waste to have Cavani out wide. I mean, this guy isn't going to come back to help track Emerson or help track the ball, the runners. That's not going to happen. It feels like a waste of time. And if you're going to spend this money to use him out of position, then it's completely pointless. But all I want to say is, you guys, is that just because players start off in certain positions doesn't mean they continuously play in that same position. Now, I'm going to use Cristiano Ronaldo as a prime example. At Real Madrid, he would start down the left-hand side where he could play unmarked, and then when he moved more in field, Benzema would drop deeper, and that's how it worked. So on that basis, I see Lampard using those same principles. I can imagine us starting as a 4-3-3 team off the ball, but when we attack, you guys, we turn into a 4-4-2. Cavani moving alongside Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount pushing up to help support Willian, and then you have that midfield base of either Cover, George, alongside Kante. If Cavani was to play down the left, I can imagine Lampard maybe using Azpilicueta in this team because of his great defensive abilities and because he wouldn't really need Azpilicueta to have to really push forward into the final third, so it could be a great way to get the most out of the available players to Lampard at this point in time. And to end things with the final formation, well, what if Tammy just lost his place and he was replaced by Cavani? That would be a 4-2-3-1. And there could be a benefit to this. Now, it is Tammy Abraham's first season playing consistently at the very top at this level, and Lampard may feel that, listen, I want Tammy to have consistent high form. If I overplay him, if I overstretch him, his form's going to become inconsistent, and is that really great for his development? Cavani could be that top quality backup option that could really give Tammy Abraham more room to rest and recover, because at times I feel like we do overplay him and overstress him. If Cavani was to literally just replace Tammy, I'd wonder how he'd feel about the quality of service he'd receive. I mean, this guy's been at Napoli alongside Lavezzi's Hamsix and great players like that. Paris Saint-Germain playing alongside Mbappe and Neymar. Come on, you guys, we all know that's levels. And when you're receiving assists from players like that, well, of course, you're going to score goals much more easier. But if he was to sign for us and Lampard use him in the same formation, am I really going to see Jorginho constantly finding him? Is Kante going to play those passes between the lines? Is Cover? Is Mount? I'm not too sure. Of course, Edison does provide that world-class movement, but let's look at the realities of our season. Listen, we don't always perfectly influence our game on the opposition. At times we need to fight and we need to struggle. And this is where Tammy Abraham's been very influential due to his ability to play with his back to goal and hold the ball up. And it gets you thinking, could Cavani provide that same usefulness off the ball? I'm not too sure. That's not really his game. But again, we'll see what happens, you guys. And with this point, I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite formation? What formation do you think would get the best out of Cavani? I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, you guys. And let me know as well, do you think Cavani is the #1 target we need to go for this January? You'll see the poll somewhere in the cards above. But you man, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up now and keep things moving. Very busy day. We're playing against Arsenal later on, 8:15 UK time. I mean, real talk. Can you imagine a game being on at such a dead time? Like, I'm fuming. I'm not too happy, you guys, but it is what it is. I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. Come on, Marina. Get Cavani done.